Alright, this is Nate, and I'm making another video because I was probably all over the place on my first video, but I wanted to get back to the steering of the HotShot, and I took the skid plate off the front so you could see it. Go around. You can see, let me get my finger near this offset of where the link connects. I raised it up as high as it could go, and that was kind of one of the things that changed the reaction of the steering under compression, or at the suspension under compression, and it was just all out of whack the way that TAMIYA had designed it, unfortunately. So you can see how it works. I know that servo's loud. It's a cheap servo. It's a 20K. I think it's Animos is the brand, like I have in the Claude. Brass gears. It was cheap. I think it'll be a little quicker when I put a BEC in this car. Right now, it's just running on what is this, a 6-volt pack, which is probably better than what the ESC is going to put out from its internal BEC. But the BEC, the programmable one, I can go up to 6.8, which should wake it up quite a bit, as it did in the Cloudbuster. Big difference. So that's about it. I did put the motor in just to mock it up. I ended up putting a 15-tooth pinion in there. Those little bars. I can't remember what the setup is. Let's see. Where is it? Try to stay out of the light. See, it came with a 13 and a 15-tooth pinion. And it shows you how many plates you need somewhere. There it is. On either side of the screw. And those actually for a 16 and a 17 tooth. I don't have a 17 tooth, although I do have a 16. But I threw the 15 in, and I guess that's just 2 bars per either side of the screw. We'll see how it runs on 2S and on 7.2 nickel metal hydride. That is I'm going to run it with that first off. It's a 17-turn motor. Speed gem. Like I mentioned in the first video, I did put the MIP diffs in. I wasn't sure how much to tighten the center screw. I had to tighten it enough to get it together, but I didn't want to over tighten it. I know I've seen videos of people how they break in their ball differentials. I've never done that. The only car I had, let's see, my RC10 might have had a ball diff. I had the Stealth transmission. It was a championship edition, I believe. I bought it in high school. It had the Stealth. I think it was right after the Stealth transmission came out. I don't have that car anymore, but my RC10 GT has a Stealth with a ball diff, and I don't remember if it came factory or if it's a Thorpe or if it's an MIP, but it's worn out nonetheless. So I'm going to go through a couple more things I've done on the HotShot since the other day. I'm just going to turn this over. I hope it's going to stay together without the... Let's see. Give you another it's pretty slow, I think. It should be faster with the BEC. I don't know if it's necessary, but one thing I noticed when I was playing around with looking at the suspension geometry changing, I noticed that I didn't like the oil in the shock. The suspension was really loose, really easy, bouncy. And I don't know what viscosity this is. It seems to be good for the rear. I'm liking the way the rear suspension feels. Oh, what's going on here? Yeah, good one. That feels pretty decent. I mean, I have the spring compressed to the max on both. And I put the motor in for weight. I had a battery in it. It seems better because what I did was I drained the oil out of the front shock. And I put in some of this diff oil that I had from my Yeti XL that I didn't use. It's 20,000 Centistokes, I guess. I believe this was for the differential, the sealed diff. It's pretty thick, but I ended up putting, I believe, 500,000 weight in the front of that and 1,000,000 weight in the rear. And then I had this left over. I was looking around in my toolbox. I had some 70 weight oil. I took this apart, put the 70 weight oil in it. Didn't make a difference, so I drained it again. I said, okay, well, I'm going to take something really thick. And this was the thickest I could find besides something ridiculous like that 500 or 1,000,000 weight stuff. So I put it in, and it made a pretty big difference. So the battery keeps getting away. You know what? I'm going to pull this out. Shut this off. All right, so